What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done in public?
Oh, shit my pants for sure. Yeah.
No lie?
No lie.
Where was that?
I mean, which time, you know?
Welcome to the podcast, guys. For the new folks joining us, it's your host, Chris Rudiger. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following us either on 615 House or specifically on the podcast. Again, I want to thank our friends at iHeart, Q6, and Matt McElwain for taking care of us. And this next episode is really good because I've been trying to do this for a while. He also has a podcast, and we've been trying to coordinate our schedules to make it work, but this is finally when we get him on the podcast. He is a recording artist himself. He has had quite the childhood, and there's a reason why he got sober and started recording music and how that has taken a completely changed his life for the better. He also had a pretty hilarious song. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the song, maybe about a girl in Dallas. If that rings a bell, we're going to get into it. And I'm super excited because he has a new album coming out, and we're going to talk all about that, about the successful TikTok song, and really just about his life. So here's a chance to chat together. Please welcome Trey Lewis.
Yeah, it feels good to be here, man. I feel like, you know, McElwain's, I'm like, what are you doing today? He's like, oh, I'm filming pods with Chris today. I was like, dang, when's he going to have me on there, you know, kind of.
Well, you have a podcast yourself, and Matt's also on the crew. And I feel like, you know, it's interesting because we're both kind of trying to date him, you know? Yeah. So, like, occasionally you get him, like, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and then I get the Tuesday, Thursdays.
Yeah, when you're not, when he's not doing stuff for you, he's doing stuff for me. So.
Right. But I've started to cheat a little bit. I've been taking him on a few more days, and I just want to just get the record straight. Like, I respect your relationship with Matt.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I want him to not have to be focused on me all the time, you know, and to have a life outside of the Trey Lewis world. I know it can be a lot sometimes between, you know, he used to play drums for me, and now he's our stage manager, assistant tour manager now, you know, so he has a lot of responsibilities. He's the guy that fixes everything. Like if the trailer, you know, we're getting ready to go out on the road, he takes the van to get the oil change, gets spare tires for the trailer because our trailer's kind of shitty, so it just like we always have to change the tires out when we're on the road.
How often are you changing the tires?
That would be a Matt question, but I think per run it's at least once or twice, you know.
Wow.
Just depends.
And just throwing it out there, you guys have never thought to, like, you know, get a different trailer?
Well, we just bought this one, so it's like, you know, squeeze our money out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But he's like the other day I showed up, he's like, man, I built these shelves we can like put inside the trailer, we can like put the guitars up here, you know, and we can hang this stuff here. It's a pretty good impression, right?
It's very good. Yeah.
He's like, I think it'll be like good for us taking the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been with him all day, so it's like hitting even harder because it's like, wait, is this Matt here? No. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not stealing your guy. Yeah, I know you guys have a very, you know, you have a bromance.
Yeah, we're like brothers. I mean, we've been in fist fights through the years, you know.
I mean, Hallie slept, you know, in your bed in your apartment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, on the floor.
Yes.
That was actually Alex's bed, but you know, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah. Kind of a communal.
But yeah, man, we're brothers. I mean, we've been playing, we've been either playing music together or, you know, he's been in the camp for the longest, you know, going on almost 10 years. So he's like he's my family. Yeah. You know?
How long have you been doing this thing?
So I got sober in 2007, and then I went to a halfway house. I wish we can get into all that. And I lived at the halfway house for 6 months. And when I went to the halfway house, they were like, you got to go to these meetings, and you got to get a sponsor, and you got to work these steps. You got to do all this stuff. So I was like, I had this big like realization when I was in rehab of like, I got this letter from my mom. And before, like when I was messed up on drugs and alcohol and stuff, it was like I was in and out of jail all the time. It seemed like every time I got drunk or got high, it was like I ended up in jail or the insane asylum or like something crazy. So I remember I was telling the story earlier. I went to lunch with my producer, Jacob Rice.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, I mean, basically at the end, I remember I was in jail in Tuscaloosa County Jail. This is my last time in jail. And I got out of jail finally. Nobody would come bail me out. I'll never forget, like, you know, when you're in jail, you get a phone call, and I got that was my turn to, you know, go to the phone and call, and I was like 5 feet away from the phone, from like here to this white thing over to the white thing right there. And I just remember the feeling in the pit of my stomach, the frustration, despair, and like, oh my God, I have nobody I can call. I've screwed over everybody that's closest to me. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to call like one person, you know, in my life that could tell me, hey man, like, you're a good person, like you'll pull through this, like something like that. And there was just no one to call. So I remember when I finally did get out of jail, I remember, you know, some friends bailed me out of jail that I knew. And I was like, guys, I'm done with this stuff. I can't do this anymore. Like, and I really meant it. All the other times where I like went to jail or ended up in the psych ward or like whatever, it was like, I want to quit doing this, you know, to get these people off my back. And then I would eventually get back to getting high or drunk because I loved the feeling of escaping.
I was going to say, how did you, like, how did it happen? Like, how did it happen?
How did it start?
Yeah, how did it start?
So how it started was, when I was 13, my mom, checked me and my sister out of school, sat us down on the couch, bought us Happy Meals, and said, me and your dad, which was my stepdad, are splitting up tomorrow. We're going to separate. And then, which that led into a divorce. Yeah. And I feel like 13 is like the age where you need like your parent, like in your shit to say, you know?
It's an interesting age.
I don't know if you need to get beat with sticks every day, but you need to get some whippings or something, you know? Mm-hmm. Like you need to get some video games taken away from you like that. So, that kind of happened. So the male aspect of having a dad around like wasn't there. And I'm not blaming my mother because my mother did the best she could, you know, raising me, but there was a little bit of like isolation, I guess. Yeah. And I mean, before I knew it, I kind of like fell into the wrong crowd. I moved from this nice neighborhood that I was living in, tons of kids, kind of over to the city side of where I'm from, which is Vestavia Hills. It's a nice part of town, you know, it's the city, but I went from like living in this big neighborhood to it'd be like living in Franklin, but then moving to like somewhere over here, you know what I mean? Like downtown kind of area. Still and, nice, in a smaller scale. But different. And I just remember every day just like riding on my bike and just like finding like a hill to cry on. And I would just like cry. I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like I didn't fit in, like I didn't belong or something. And
because I assume all your friends were over at
the old neighborhood. I had zero like, friends. Like
new person trying to make friends. Your parents just got divorced. Yeah, like
I was fat. Probably, you know, I was just like a kid, and it's crazy because I was in Hollywood Video. I lived like down this alley, and there was a Guthrie's Chicken, which is like Zaxby's or something like that, in front of, like, it was an alley, there was a fence, and there was like Guthrie's Chicken, a Hollywood Video, which is like Blockbuster, you know? Yeah. And I was in Hollywood Video.
Just to ask, does your town only have like off-brand stuff?
No. There was like a hair salon, and which comes into play later. We used to steal cigarettes from the hair salon, but I'm in Hollywood Video one night, and I see my best friend from my old neighborhood. His name's Frankie. Still best friends to this day. I've known him since I was 6. He was like, dude, what are you doing? And I was like, man, I live over here now. He's like, no way, I just moved over here too. And like I found like my friend, you know, and me and him started hanging out. Well, that was like Tony Hawk was like huge back then, but we were also like, I played football, so I was also into like Abercrombie and Fitch and stuff. But
as every kid.
But I like skateboarded too, you know. Like I feel like in my isolation, I like began like this, like I guess chameleon is the thing where like I could be.
Yeah, no, you had a skateboarder by day or football by night, whatever. You could turn it on.
And somehow me and Frankie, like when we lived in my old neighborhood, we used to like smoke sticks and like destroy tree houses and like go down to the creek and just be kids. Mm-hmm. But like we lived by like all these gas stations and stuff now. So we would do like Hey Misters and get people to buy us a pack of Newports, you know, and we started smoking cigarettes. And I had an older sister And I knew she partied, but like I thought she was like, I thought like weed was like the worst thing anybody could do back then, you know? And,
You're so sheltered from it.
There were so many nights where like, I know she had some struggles with it. There's one night I woke up and the police were like in my house and her and my mom had like gotten into it. So like right then and there, I made the decision that like, I'm never going to smoke weed. Look what that does to families, you know?
Yeah.
But as I like progressed in that world and was like smoking cigs and like just being a kid, I was like, well, my parents drink every weekend. Like, let's get some beer and like, let's drink. Mm-hmm. And it was me, this guy named Omar, and this other kid, and we got 2 cases of beer. And the first time I ever got drunk, I was 13.
That's so early. Dude.
Yeah, and it was bad.
So early. Were they also 13? Were they older kids? Like,
no, they were my age. They were my age, so but they were like the bad kids.
How'd you guys get the beer?
We had this like guy that was like an older guy in the neighborhood. And he went to like this pickup. There was this place called Pick a Pack. It was on the road, and they sold to like underage kids that almost looked 21.
Right.
But we got a case of Coors Light and Coors Original.
You guys, I mean, selling to underage is one thing, but selling to a 13-year-old kid, like, yeah. You know, dude, that's not like 19 and you have a beard and you can pull it off. I drank like 9 beers. Yeah.
And like the other guy like drank like a pretty good amount, and then the one guy that was like labeled kind of like the worst kid in school, he only drank 4 beers. Mm-hmm. And we got out like the school directory and like started calling people, and and then the guy that only drank 4 beers got sick and like threw up in the floor. And like my arm like touched his throw up, and then like once I'm like one of these people, like if you gag, I'll start gagging, you know? Yeah. And I just started throwing up, and like, dude, I threw up like in between the couch cushions. One of us like broke the toilet, and like we threw up on they had to buy like all new furniture. It was like a terrible thing.
I was gonna say, when you're 13 and you're putting back 9 beers, I mean 9 beers in general, but particularly at 13, I mean, you have got to be saucy.
You put back 9 beers right now, you're gonna be sauced up.
Yeah, you know? This podcast would probably have to end, unfortunately.
Exactly. But anyways, I'll get sober soon. But
yeah,
basically that night was the most important night of my life and my drinking career, because you know, this slow change started to happen, but that was like the night where I realized that getting drunk was the coolest thing that I'd ever done. Like I was kind of like feeling like I was tippy-toeing into the thing. But after that, like I didn't care about football anymore. I quit football not long after that. I didn't care about like my preppy friends. I just wanted to I remember like that night I like called my stepdad that wasn't my stepdad anymore. He came and picked me up. I didn't get in any trouble. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll never do that again, you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
But I knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to do that shit every chance I could.
Right.
You know, and that's what I did. I mean, and then, you know, things just progressed from there. I said that I would never smoke weed. I ended up smoking weed, you know, and then, you know, things progressed. My mom got married like the tail end of 8th grade summer, and then I was going into high school. And my first week of high school, my mom was on her honeymoon, so it was just me and my sister. My sister was 2 years older than me, and she was, you know, into partying. I remember like waking up and smoking bowls of weed in my bed, and then just going to school with my sister like I was like a grown man, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. And then 9th grade, I started getting a lot of trouble. Like I would get suspended, but man, I just didn't care. Like I don't know what it was, but it was like they'd be like, well, you got detention, and I'll be like, well, I don't care, you know.
Well, you think was it the craving of that feeling and just, you know, the sort of slow set addiction that's been building up? I think
there was a lot of like unaddressed emotions, looking back on it now, but then it was just like I was ready to just like,
yeah,
you know, I was just racing hell, you know.
So when did you said you then, you know, obviously there's got to be a moment for when you say I'm going to clean up some shit.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Do you want me to get into getting clean, or do you want to hear the story of how I kind of tumbled and stumbled?
Well, I want to hear the tumble.
Because I dropped out of high school twice, so that's kind of cool.
I want to hear that.
So, yeah. So 9th grade, I start getting in a lot of trouble, and then they try to give me not in-school suspension, alternative school. And I was like, Mom, I can do in-school suspension, but there's like no way I'm going to be able to do alternative school. She was like, well, why don't we try this like homeschooling thing? And like, you know, maybe we can do this for a couple of years and you can get your GED. Because my sister finally kind of like got it together and ended up like just getting her GED and then starting school at Auburn at Southern Union, and you know, went on, and she's doing great now, married, has a child. So that was kind of like, I was thinking I would follow kind of like the route of that. So I mean, I basically did this homeschool, but my mom was a nurse and she worked, you know, 312s. So I would just like fill out the answers in the back, call, and then by then I'd like started selling drugs, and I would just like call over my older friends, and we'd have weed den parties, and you know, just go to town.
Were you selling just for like quick cash? Like,
I was selling it. I mean, it was fun to me. It was, you know, I was just like show up to the party with all the cool kids, you know, and just like I was their guy, you know.
It was like you think it was like a tension thing, like getting that validation of like,
yeah, it was a validation of like that's the guy. He knows it's T-Bird, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so I was doing that, and then so I dropped out, did the homeschooling thing. That didn't work out. Went through 9th grade summer, and then I started like, I mean, and like I said, man, like from the first time I ever got drunk to the rest of it was just like a ski jump. You know, I jumped off in it, and I was one of these. I wasn't like a gradual. I was just all in. And so 9th grade summer, I spent doing a lot of acid and mushrooms, hallucinogens. And then I went back to school in 10th grade, and I did decent. I made C's and D's, enough to pass. You know, that was good for me. I struggled with school my entire life. I just wasn't interested in it. I really struggled with staying focused. I never really finished anything. I was always kind of like a quitter or like scapegoat. I was like, break a pencil, they'd be like, okay, it's all right, you can have a modified test, you know. So I feel like I learned how to manipulate things.
I was gonna say, you learned how to play the game to get by. You didn't necessarily actually study
for like early on. So I go back to school in 10th grade, and then 11th grade starts, and I start I'm like really deep off in it. I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm getting screwed up at school. Long story short, I have a drug deal go bad in my house, and somebody gets beat up like really bad. Like I took him to the emergency room. He had to get staples in his head and all this stuff.
Oh, shit.
It was crazy. And by then I was kind of like found out by the school. They were like, you did this and you did this. And so by that time I knew how to run. I drop out of high school for good this time. I'm missing a lot here, but I'm trying to get sober here. I do a bunch of crazy stuff. I steal a check from my dad, and I go and cash it. Damn. And he presses charges on me. Best thing that ever. One of the best things that could have ever happened to me. It probably one of the reasons I'm still alive today. But it didn't stop me. So I get arrested for that. And while I'm on probation for that, I'm like trying to sober up. I'm going to this like outpatient thing for adolescents. Mm-hmm. During that time, I find out that like I don't remember what happened, but something sparked me to where I was just like, all right, well, screw it. I was looking for a reason to get messed up again, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, well, screw it. And I went and got drunk one night, and I got a DUI. So I'm 17.
So you went from arrested from a check to DUI.
Yeah. So I'm 17. I've got a felony theft charge and a felony DUI.
Shit, man.
Yeah. I mean, DUI is a felony, but yeah. So I'm like still getting messed up. And I started doing a lot of cocaine during this time, and I got really messed up one night, and I called my dad and I said, Dad, I got to do something different. Like I'm willing to go to military school, like whatever. So he finds this military school in Mississippi. I go there. I make it through they put us out in the woods for like 2 weeks. We had to like live in the woods and like do this big long hike.
And it's pretty intense.
Yeah,
right?
It's intense.
Yeah.
And they shave your head, so you know you're no longer T-Bird. You're just a fat kid with your head shaved, which is funny now because I'm bald. But I'm at this military school, and then I decide when I get into the actual schoolwork that it's like too hard, you know, that I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to go home. And if you don't let me go home, I'm just going to walk home. So I started walking. Sent me home on a bus. I come home for the weekend. I got drunk on the bus ride home with some guys that I just met on the bus, like some older guys. My mom picks me up from the bus station, drunk as hell. I go home. I drink Natural Light that whole weekend. And there's a part in the big book that we read in the 12-step programs, and it says the fierce determination to win came back. And when I drank, that's what I got from alcohol. And I remember drinking that weekend and being like, you know what? If they would just give me a second chance, I could go back and do it. So I get on the phone. I call the guy that runs the school, and I'm like, man, please just give me another chance. I'll come back and do it. I go back to military school. All my court stuff. My dad goes before the judge, and he's like, my son's in military school. He's really trying to like straighten out his life. He's doing good. They throw all my court stuff out. 2 days later, I get kicked out of military school.
How'd you get kicked out?
I just like was cussing and I was too bad for that place. I was too far gone for that.
So the charges get dropped.
They weren't going to scare me straight, you know?
Damn, dude.
So I'm coming home with a clean record. I have a fresh start. My mom's like, you can't live here, but we'll like help you get this apartment. They helped me get this apartment. I got a job at Hardee's. I'm like walking to go flip burgers every day. I'm getting my parents off my back, doing all this stuff. They buy me a car. I quit my job because that's what it was always about. It was like, how can I get these people off my back to where, and it's really messed up when you think about it. It's like I was just gaining their trust just to do the same stupid shit over and over again.
I mean, it was manipulative.
Yeah, manipulative is what it was. Exactly. So I do that. I quit the job. I'm back running and gunning again. I get evicted from the apartment for like, there's like loud smells of marijuana and all that stuff. And they're like, we're not going to have that up here in Pale City, Alabama. So they evict me. I moved to Tuscaloosa. I'm about to get sober. I moved to Tuscaloosa, and all my friends are in college by now. And I'm wheeling and dealing. There was another drug deal thing kind of gone bad where there was like a gun involved, and I got beat up pretty bad and held hostage in this house for like a long time. And my best friend Frankie that I grew up with got me out of there. And one night a few weeks later, I went and bought some cocaine, and I had weed in my car, and I was doing burnouts on University Boulevard. Not too smart. I get pulled over. I go to jail, and that's the time where I was talking about. There was nobody to call. I really wanted to get sober. I didn't know how. I get out of jail, and I'm like, y'all, I'm for real. Like, I'm done with this stuff. I go to this house. They're drinking. They're celebrating that I'm out of jail.
Yeah. Everybody
goes to sleep. I smoke one blunt roach out of the ashtray, and then I'm back on for 3 months, just drinking, blacking out. It was every day. How do I get so drunk that I just don't exist? And how do I do it again the next day? And then
it's a dark place.
Yeah, and it just like, I'll never forget. I mean, I was 19 years old. I woke up one morning. I was throwing up blood, and my hands were just like shaking. The anxiety was just way too much. And I called my mom, and I said, Mom, whatever we got to do, but like, I got to go get some help. And I went to Bradford Health Services in Warrior. I was there for 2 weeks. I got a nice letter from my mom that said, you can't come home to your court date or your sentencing. You got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I feel like in every addict's life, there's got to come a point where the people that love them and have either aided them in their addiction or whatever, tough love, whatever, have to give them that tough love and say, no, you got to do this.
Right.
And that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I started asking the counselors for help. They do this thing in rehab. You sit in this circle with all the chairs, and there's like a counselor on this end and one on this end, and people are talking, and they're taking their little notes and stuff. But this one guy started talking about his relationship with his dad, and it was just like, I don't know what it was, but it was like he was telling my story, and it was just like I was looking in the mirror. And I just started crying. I lost it. And it wasn't like a get me out of this trouble or how do I do this? It was just like I felt it. It was like boogers and snot flying everywhere kind of cry.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I was kind of willing to do whatever it took to get my life on track. And I went to the halfway house. I lived there for 6 months. I worked the steps. 9 months, I went to my dad. I made amends, and I said, hey, man, like, I know I did this, and that, and probably some stuff that I don't remember, but I was just wondering what I could do to make it right, because it's not about saying you're sorry. I mean, I was pretty sorry at that point. You know,
I was going to say, it's not, at some point, I'm sorry is worn off. I mean, you probably have done that dozens of times. It's now like, how can we make actions and
so
move forward?
Yeah. So and he said, there's nothing you do to make it right. Just keep doing what you're doing. Let me tell you something, man. When I got my 7-year chip, I gave it to my dad, and I told him how much I loved him, and I went to the beach with my family. And on the way back from Florida with my family, I got the call. My dad had a massive heart attack, and he died working out in the gym. And I didn't plan on crying today, but anyways, every day that I wake up and I go to sleep still sober, and you know, and I get to live this awesome life that I have today, man. It's like those words of like, keep doing what you're doing and all that stuff are, you know, there's nothing you do to make it right except to keep doing what you're doing. It's so much more powerful now than it was, you know, 17 years ago when he told me that. And that's just like,
yeah,
it's so cool, man, you know? And that's what, I mean, sorry, I figured we were going to be laughing in here, but, you know, my bad.
I mean, dude, first off, sorry for your loss, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I know that's some deep shit, dude.
For sure.
But, I imagine he's probably looking
down, man.
Looking down, pretty proud of you.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think my dad like would have loved the fact that "Dig Down in Dallas" was the song.
I was gonna say, now you're writing songs about dicks, man. Your dad
that like made my career, because me and my dad, like, after I made amends to him, he asked me if I wanted to move in with him, and like I hadn't lived with my dad since I was 3 years old, so it's like me and him became like thick as thieves. He was like my best friend. I would talk to him about financial stuff, or like, my dad was an accountant and all this stuff, and my dad would always say to me, you know, like, son, I'm a CEO of a small company and I hate my job. Like, you just do music. I know it's going to work out for you, you know, and like, and like, he's a lot of the reason why I like never quit and why I kept going, because him saying stuff like that to me. But we used to sit around when I first bought my guitar, and like, I would like make up stupid songs that were kind of like "Dick Down in Dallas," you know, and like we would just think that they were so funny. So I know that, like, I know when that song hit, he was just like, "Fuck yeah," you know.
Of course, bro. He's right there on a party up there, man. That's, I mean, I'm sure he's proud of you, dude. And what a world, man, dude. Thanks for sharing, man. I did not know. Nearly all of that.
It's a lot to tell. You know what I mean?
You know,
it's like,
for sure.
Well, it's like, it's a lot to tell. It's a big long story, but at the same time, there's so much. It's a big long story to tell, but there's so much more life of my story things that I've done since I've gotten sober. You know, that's just a part of it. You know, that's just the cat's first life. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, it's like, I got sober, and like, you know, of course I started playing music 6 months sober, but like, I worked at that treatment center that I was a patient at for 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the way I met Mitchell Wallace is that, like, his cousin was one of my patients, and Mitch shared one of my songs on social media. I met Mitch in the music community in Alabama. His cousin called him and said, "How do you know this Trey Lewis guy?" He was like, "I don't know, just met him in music." And he was like, "But what do you know about him?" He's like, "Well, I know he's sober." He's like, "Yeah, that's one of the guys that like saved my life," you know? And then Mitch moves to Nashville. My first 6 months here, we end up living together. And then he helps me, you know, he's the one that kind of sparked the idea for Dick Down in Dallas. And, you know, now he's on the team and he's crushing it. It's just so many little things that are cool like that.
It's cool. And the relationships, I mean, particularly in this industry, right? It's all about like people you know and you form. And it's crazy that a story like that is obviously so personal to him and his family and you, like that's how it links you guys together. I mean, that's wild.
It's nuts.
That is wild. Well, I was also not expecting to get so deep and sad today, man. But like, shit, rarely am I like.
You were like, we gotta have a viral clip. That might be your viral clip.
That might be it, dude. I'm like, jeez, dude. No, man. I mean, look, the last thing I'll say, and then I want to jump to some music and some games and stuff. Yeah. But I'm curious because I think like, you know, I think like a lot of kids right now. You know, like there's a lot of like stuff you can find online, and then a lot of kids always there's like this pressure to fit in, right? I think like, you know, mental health is like really pressing issue, I think, across the country, across the world right now. I think social media is a factor to it. I think like fitting in, you know, alcohol and drugs play a factor to it. And I know that that's like something that you are, you know, addressing. It's part of, you know, you and your campaign. And also it's part of your story. And I'm curious, like, I'd love to just get your thoughts on, you know, mental health awareness. And
man,
you know,
I mean, you got to take care of yourself, especially to do this job. You know, I mean, any job, but like this job is very demanding, and you're always constantly being told that a no or you're not good enough. So you have to, like, for me, I have to continue to look at myself. Well, are they right here? Like, do I suck at like singing a demo right after I write a song? Well, hell yeah, I do. What can I do to get better there? You know, but it's like just something so small like that. It's like it's just, yeah, man. And like, I know a lot about my past now that I go to counseling. Like, I've learned so much about who I am as a person and what makes me tick from that childhood trauma and stuff. It's all old shit. You know what I mean? It's just like, I just got to be able to like look at it now. But I feel like, I mean, not everybody has to do it. Some people are just like, you know, being a Southern man, it's like, you just man up and deal with your problems. You know what I mean? But for me, I mean, I feel like, I believe everything builds off the next, you know, like, I mean, if it's not true, I mean, then my story makes no sense. Right. You know, but, I think that it's been detrimental to me, you know, it's been a huge part of who I am. And I think that, there's nothing wrong with going in and talking about your problems, you know?
I appreciate you saying that, because I side with you as well. And I think more people are speaking out and up about it, but as you mentioned, it's still a delicate subject that of course, you know, deserves more awareness and attention. And I guess I commend you, because it really takes people like you know, even using your platform in the smallest, right? And others hopping on. It's like, all right, yeah, like if it's happened to them, just like you were talking about sitting across the aisle with this guy sharing a similar story to you, like other people can say, oh yeah, I relate to that, you know? Guys, we had Trey Lewis on the podcast. We got a bunch of new music and games to play, so we're going to take a quick break, come right back here in a second.
Cool. Let's do it.
Good to be back here on the podcast with Trey Lewis. I am excited because we have some music. I want to hear the story of Dick Down in Dallas. But before we do that, one of the things that I love to do is a game called Rank These 5 Things without knowing what comes next.
All right.
Pretty simple. I'm going to give you a topic and a category, and you're just not going to know what comes next. So wherever you play something, set in stone, baby. Here's what's going to happen. We are going to start with rank these 5 things, 1 being hardcore cheating and 5 being, it's not really cheating.
Okay.
First up, not deleting dating apps.
Like not deleting them when you're dating somebody?
Correct. 1 would be like, 1's they're cheating. 5 is like, they're not. They're probably not cheating. It's safe.
I'd say 3.
What about having a work wife or a work husband?
Oh man, that can get messy. I mean, that can, you know, there's I mean, I would say 4 because, like, I don't know. You want to just keep rolling? All right.
What about replying with heart eyes to someone else's story?
Oh, that's cheating.
That's cheating.
That's cheating. 5, right?
That'd be 1.
Okay,
1. You're putting that at 1. What about changing in front of someone else, like down to your underwear?
Oh, I do that all the time. That ain't cheating.
You're like, that's another day of my life.
I do that in the office at River House in front of all those women over there.
We'll put that as a 5. Yeah. So I think your last one's 2, right?
Yeah.
I really got to get like a scoreboard of these things. Yeah. The last one is watching porn.
Oh, definitely not cheating.
I think that's clean.
Yeah, that's clean
as well.
All the way. That's something we've done since we were 12, you know?
Yeah.
If not younger.
Hell, earlier than before you started drinking, and that was young too.
Yeah, exactly.
Rank these 5 things. And I do want to get a little bit deep here. So
let's do it.
The category is rank these 5 things, people. First up is your bass player, Colton.
Like awesome or like
one's
awesome?
the best, 5's the worst.
One's the best. I'd say he's like 2.
Colton's a good guy.
Yeah, Colton's
We like
a good
Colton?
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
we like Colton.
What about your audio guy, Nick Gorman?
He's 1.
Really?
Yeah.
He's the guy? He
He's
makes
the
you
guy.
sound all pretty?
He's the guy.
What about your manager, Alex?
Oh man, now I can't go back. I mean, I guess he's gonna have to be 3 if he's,
Yeah.
I
Let's
can't
leave it
change
4
him
and
now.
5. What about what are your best friend, Chris?
Dang, you did some digging, dog.
Because I know some stuff.
Man, I mean, so he can't be number 1, 2, or 3, or he can't.
Yeah, you just working down the list.
Damn, I guess he's 4.
I'll let you. I'm making an exception here
Okay.
one time. I will let you swap Chris for somebody if you please.
Oh man, I mean, if I could redo the whole thing.
I'll give you a blank slate just because this is juicy.
Okay.
But now knowing it's Colton, Nick, Alex, and Chris,
Yeah.
where are you going to put them?
I would do Alex first, Chris second, Gorman third, and Colton 4.
And that leaves you in the 5th spot, which is Ingram.
Oh yeah, he's 5 for sure.
Yeah. Wait, who is that?
Ingram edits the podcast.
Editor? Okay.
Yeah.
He asked me to specifically ask you who he was.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't known him the longest. I've only met him once in person. So.
Yeah, but you do know he exists, and he's a real
I know
human
exists.
being.
I have his number in my phone.
Yeah. And maybe just shoot him a text. Tell him you love him. Give him a little love. He could use it.
Sweet.
All right, that was.
Sorry if you feel unappreciated, Ingram. I love you, but
No, man. He told me to throw that in there. They write these questions. So.
nice.
I want to talk about the song that we have all wanted to talk about.
Let her dick down and die.
Track 5 on your project now.
Probably sell a lot more copies if I did.
Dude, let's talk about the fact that you just completely. What I love is you took country music, which is known to be a little bit PG.
I broke the
a little
rules.
bit clean. You said, I'm going to do a 180 and I'm going to disrupt all of Nashville by writing a song about fucking.
Yeah, I mean, I broke the rules, dude, but it, really wasn't my intention, man. I've been putting out music since 2013, and I think my mom and maybe like 10 people in Birmingham would listen to it, And, it was COVID times. Things were different. We were just all hanging out in each other's backyards. And Matt McKinney, which was one of the writers on the song, had played me the song a couple of times, but I was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, whatever,
Yeah.
Like, is it like Fuck the Popo, Corey Smith, which I've got to meet Corey since then, and pretty cool story there. But anyways, he said me, Mitch, and McKinney finished the song, and we were driving back from Chili's, and Mitch was like, man, if this song was on iTunes, I would buy it. I would pay 99 cents for this song. And it was like a work tape,
Yeah.
And a couple of days before that, Mitch had told me to download TikTok. And like I made some TikToks of like me and Ella going to the gym and like me annoying her and stuff like that on the treadmill, like not knowing what I was doing. Like I remember when Instagram first became a thing.
Yeah, you just kind of throw stuff at the wall.
I thought Instagram was just like an app where you just like edited pictures in. I didn't know it was like an app, like because Facebook was really the only thing then. So I get back to the house. I'm sitting around. I sent McKinney a text and I walked in the living room and I was like, man, fuck it. Let's do it. And McKinney sent me the work tape and the lyric sheet, and I sat on the edge of my bed and kind of learned the song, which it has a bridge in it. Did you know that?
Not really. I never knew that it had a bridge. I just hear the key change, and then we go back into the chorus.
Because I never got to the bridge. I didn't even record the bridge. I didn't even know it had a bridge until after I recorded it.
So I'm curious, what is the bridge of Dick Down in Dallas?
It's might have been something that I said or something that I did. How can I get over her knowing she's under them keychains? She's getting dick down in Dallas. Yeah. But I was just so infatuated with the chorus. I was like, I remember we started playing like some acoustic shows again. We went up to the Blue Room in Statesboro and they like put us on the back patio. And I'd show McElwain was on the cajon and Terry was on guitar, and I was like, dude, all right, when we get to the chorus, we're just going to play the chorus until people in the crowd like understand what we're doing. Because it wasn't like people in front of the stage. It was like everybody was drinking beer, playing cornhole, like
until they like notice. It's almost one of those things you got to, you do it a couple times.
But there was like a small crowd of like 10 people that were like, we played there like 2 nights in a row, like Friday, Saturday, you know. There was like a small group of like 10 people that were like, they were like Australian or something. They had accents or something. They weren't from, but I remember them sending me a message on Instagram, like, dude, are you going to be at the Blue Room tonight? That song was hilarious. Cause we were just like looping the chorus, you know?
Right.
And, so I get back to Nashville, and Nikki T asked me to come Matt Burrell, he had me on his podcast in the round, or it's outside the round.
Outside the round, yeah.
And he asked me to come do his podcast. And I mean, on that, you can go listen to that podcast. And I'm still talking about playing cover gigs and the hope of one day, like, you know, not playing cover gigs and being an artist and, you know, doing all the things I'm doing now.
Right.
And he was like, I want you to come play my round. Like, I have a song called Little Tired, which is about mental health and sobriety and stuff. And it's one of Burrell's favorite songs because, you know, he's like kind of California sober or whatever, you know, he quit drinking.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I want you to come play your stuff because I love your stuff. But then I want you to play Dick Down in Dallas as like a bonus song. Well, by this time it would become like a phenomenon amongst the friend group that we were all like playing at the bonfires and little COVID parties we were having, you know. And it's me, Joy Beth Taylor, which is a phenomenal songwriter, Ella Langley, crushing it, and Alex Maxwell on stage at Live Oak.
Yeah.
And I mean, I rip into this song, the whole room singing it because it's all of our friends, our community here in Nashville.
Right.
And Nikki T takes a video of it, puts it on Facebook, and I think it got like 50,000 views. And back then that was like,
when you get that, you go, oh shit.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
this
shit.
is serious.
And then
right?
from there, like Matt McKinney had like a connect with not Barstool, but what's the first? Old Row. Because when he was at Georgia, he used to send videos. So he sends it to them. It gets put on there. Bonner gets it put on Call Her Daddy's. Like they have a Facebook group, and it gets put on there. And then like I put the first video that me and Mitch ever did for Dick Down in Dallas, like, I don't know, maybe got like 10K views. And then at the time, Mitch didn't even own a camera, but Bonner was filming a lot of the stuff. I mean, Bonner was my guy. Bonner had been doing my social media and stuff since like 2017. Like back in the day, you know?
Yeah.
And like there was times where Bonner wasn't even getting paid. He was still like doing my stuff, you know, for free, just because we were friends and he believed in what I was doing. And he would just like follow me around with a camera. And then actually Matt McKinney had the idea of going up to strangers and playing it. And that's when I went to Midtown and like played it for those people.
Yeah.
And one of those videos that has like the most views was like I was playing it for like a couple that were like, 2 couples, and the guys weren't into it, but the girls were like totally digging it. Right. You can go watch it.
That's funny. And the guys are like, what the hell is this?
But like, I guess at that point we decided that we were recording it, and I'm like calling Alex Maxwell because he's like my producer. He produced like my Thomason 3. I put out like work tapes during COVID, and me and him become friends because of Matt McKinney. And I was like, dude, I think we should just produce this like a Corey Smith track, like acoustic, you know, or whatever. And Maxwell's like, man, I think we should go like full production. And I was dating a girl at the time, and I was over at her house, and I get a text from Grady Saxman, which me and Grady Saxman go back to all the way to 2012. He's played on everything I put out other than like when I would just like put out a demo or something. He's played on everything since then. And we had a mutual friend, Nolan Neal, RIP. But anyways, he sends me a text, and all the text says is Dick Down in Dallas. And and I was talking to Ryan Nelson about it too. I was like, what do you think I should do? You know, like we were just all friends, you know, just trying to get opinions. Trying to figure this thing out. Right. And when Grady sent me that, I called Maxwell. I was like, look, I guess we're going to Grady's, because Grady just texted me and said Dick Down in Dallas. And I was like, let's send it, you know, because I didn't know, you know, like I know that like I had worked with like a lot of people in town, but I didn't know if people wanted to get behind what I was doing. I was just out like we were just sending it, dude. We were just like doing stuff that like you wouldn't normally do, and that's kind of like helped me in this realm of things moving forward. It's like, you know, who cares what anybody in town thinks? Just go send it, baby.
Well, isn't it the thing, man? It's like it's not cool until it's cool. I say that all the time. It's like, sure, you probably didn't know that this was going to be what it is now, but you're like, screw it. I think it's funny. My boys think it's funny. Let's get after it. Yeah.
So we go into the studio. We cut this song. Bonner's in there with the camera. He takes there was another guy in there. I can't remember his name, but he had like written some songs, and he was doing a session with Grady before we got there. So when we record this song, Saul, Grady are the only ones that play. Saul plays all the guitars. He plays the bass. He plays the acoustic. Grady plays drums. We cut the vocal right there at Grady's, right there. I go to Maxwell's the next day. Maxwell's put the piano on it. That's all Maxwell. Like, that's all his background vocals, the piano, the dig down, and Dallas. Yeah. That's all Maxwell. Maxwell does all that. We sent it to JR and Frank over at Grady's, and they mix and master. I think we did like 3 mixes. I think we wanted to crank the vocal up like one more time, but we had to get it out because after we left the studio, I had an acoustic gig down in Huntsville like the next day. And I drove down to Huntsville to play this 4-hour acoustic gig. And I posted a video that night of us in the studio. The guy that was on the session before us, he was like listening to the song, and he like put his finger up in the air like this. And I posted that video. It wasn't even like vertical screen. It was like, you know, like a square.
A square, yeah. And which is so, you can't do that on
you can't
TikTok,
do that.
right?
You can't do that. Yeah. That's not polished. But anyway, so we posted up there, and I put it on there. I put it on at the beginning of that gig. I posted it into the gig. It's got like 3 million views. And back then, like 3 million, I mean, like 3 million views back then was like, you know, 10 million today.
Sure.
And yeah, man, and we send the song to, you know, to be out, and 1RPM, who we put it out with, calls us like 2 weeks before it comes out, and he's like, yeah, man, I mean, this song's basically gonna debut at #1, like, you know, like this, you could put it out tomorrow if you wanted to. I was like, nah, let's stay with December 1st because, you know, no Nut November into December 1st was like kind of
a thing. Yeah.
We put it out December 1st. It's a Billboard #1. We beat out BTS, the pop group, in sales for that week.
Insane, dude. I remember
we tee up shows. I mean, our first show was in Statesboro, Georgia, where, you know, where it kind of all started. And
dude, I remember you holding out your phone. You uploaded like a video or maybe a photo, and I think within like the first couple hours of the song being out, it hit 1 million streams.
Oh, it had 3 million. It was crazy.
Yeah,
we shot the video for the music video the day the song came out. So like I wasn't even like soaking it in. I was just like, what do we got?
You're like, let's like go time. We got to hit. Let's keep going.
I remember we drove from Nashville all the way to Statesboro, Georgia. My manager Alex gave me a pair of AirPods, which I'd never had AirPods. And I was like, what are these? Cool. And I put those things in, and I was on the phone with every label in Nashville, LA, and New York the whole way there. You know, just taking meetings, you know.
Just like, yeah, because everyone's like, man, this is, I mean, they probably haven't seen these. I mean, you're beating out BTS, dude. You got to be on every single
crazy,
call,
right?
You know? It's crazy, dude. I'm curious. One thing I want to ask you, because I've never got the chance to ask you, what is your favorite lyric of Dick Down in Dallas? Because it's a very vivid song.
I think the thing that I love about it the most is how it starts out just like any other country song.
Yeah.
And then just the chorus, she's getting dick down that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't reveal anything in verse 1. Now verse 2, you choose to get a little bit more graphic.
Like, but it just kind of has that quick pickup. But I already know that she's, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I think that's probably my favorite part of the song.
Yeah.
But man, I'm so grateful for that song. I mean, it changed my life. It changed Matt McKinney's life. It changed Ella's life. You know, it changed our whole friend group's life. And then, you know, to watch them go on and do killer things from there. I mean, I think we played 141 shows that year. And I want to say Ella was the opener for probably 80% of those shows.
Wow.
You know, and she's
amazing.
crushing it now. You know, she's been out on tour with Co. She's going out with Dirk. She's going out with Hardy Morgan.
Oh, dude, it's
she just
great
put out
to
the
see,
song
man.
with Cameron Marlowe. That's killer.
Dude, so good.
Strangers, dude. Oh my God. She's and just to watch her grow. I mean, honestly, like I remember when I first moved to Nashville, I lived here for 6 months, and then Ella and Mitch and her and then Clay Barker moved up here, and we all got a house together. But me and Ella got real close because the first 2 weeks it was just me and her in that house. And when she came to the old house I was living, she helped me pack my stuff up and move it to the new house. And all I had was mattress on the floor, a TV dinner tray, a TV, a Xbox, and a Rubbermaid underwear drawer. But she helped me get all that stuff and move it over. And just to watch her from the artist, the songwriter she was, to where she is now is just, dude, she's so talented. We don't have to harp on her for too long, but like when I say that girl is so talented, like she can write, she can perform, she can hang, dude. She's just amazing, dude.
Dude, I love how close you guys are.
And she's just a really, I mean, honestly, she's just a really great friend, you know, more than anything. I mean, me and her hardly ever sit around and talk about music stuff. We just talk about life and we're just friends, man. It's cool, you know.
Dude, it's cool, man. I love that you guys have that relationship and can support each other. I think it's so important as musicians to like not talk about music. I mean, shit, man, I love it too, but like, you know, I sit around talking about music about 10 hours out of the day. I need an hour or two where I can go to people. Yeah. And for you, it might be Ella. For somebody else, it's a close friend. But like, where you can just shoot the shit. But the cool part is, she still gets it. Yeah. Like you get her because you're in the industry. It's hard to have a conversation with somebody that's you know, fields away because they just don't have
like,
the same lingo.
I don't want to talk to my mom about like,
you
know, hey, I didn't get this tour, or like, you know,
and it's so much simpler and easier. And anyway, all this to say, super talented, you know, as are you. And I love that you guys are supporting each other. What I want to ask, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here, but I want to talk about, you were, huge record. Every label calls you. Okay. Yeah. You go on tour, you know, pushing, I'm sure, crazy tickets. I've seen the show. It's nuts. And then, like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you do? What's next? Like, because everyone knows you as the guy that wrote that really hilarious, awesome country song, Dick Down in Dallas. Like, how do you get taken seriously?
Yeah, I mean, I just do it. You know what I mean? I'm just me, dude. Like, I you know, it's like, I think that it, you know, on the grand scheme of things, there's a lot of people out there that probably don't take me serious. But there's enough people that do take me serious, and I'm still here 3 years later. I mean, I just got back from the West Coast. I was out there for 3 weeks, and I think 2 tickets were like 5 tickets away from sold out. You know, we hit points on all our shows. What points means is if you sell enough tickets, you get a bonus at the end of the night. You know, and for those of you that don't know, but you know, we're still out here 3 years later, and you know, you can't tell me that that's for one song. You know, I'm out. I mean, I think I put out like 20 something songs since that song, you know. But we're just out here doing it, you know, and just out here putting out music, and I'll never forget, I signed my publishing deal at Sony Music, Rusty Gasson and Tom. I remember Anna Wiseman and all them, they came out to a bunch of my shows, you know, and
hounding you.
Yeah, they signed Ella, you know, and all that stuff, and to a publishing deal there, and you know, all our friends signed publishing deals, but they came out to a ton of shows, and you know, I'm grateful for a guy like Rusty. I mean, he was the best publisher in town this year, you know. When he won the award, it was like,
it's like, that's my guy.
I get to wake up and go. That's the guy that sends me text messages every morning and says, "Hey man, just keep your head down. I believe in you." You know, like, this is all going to work out. Today could be the best day of your life. You could write the song that could change your life, and really really believes in me. And he's like one of the top guys here in Nashville. Like, that's crazy, but they really believed in me that I was more than just the one song. So it was cool, like, having that. And then I, of course, I didn't sign to a major label with that song because I didn't want to get coined into like making that same kind of music, which I love that song. It'll always be a part of who I am, but it was just kind of a joke, man.
Right.
It's like, I know you probably will say no, but we all listen to Wheeler Walker Jr.
Oh, of course.
And then we turn around and listen to Parker McCullum next,
right?
Or Cody Johnson. You know what I mean?
And with that being said, why can't you do it for yourself?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so we're finding the people that can love that song, but also can turn around and listen to the other stuff as well too. And I think I think the thing about Dig Down Dallas is always going to bring people to me, no matter what, for the rest of my life, because some sports team finds the song and uses it, and it has another little viral spin, and people listen to it, and then some people are like, oh, well, this other stuff's just kind of like normal country music, or it's like people that like don't really fuck with country music but like Dick Down in Dallas,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say
but then there's some people that are like, oh, well, hell, I fuck with this other shit too,
Yeah.
And but like I said, like, it's always going to bring people to me, and I think if you come to my live show, if you come a Dick Down in Dallas fan, it's my job to make you leave a Trey Lewis fan.
Dude,
and that's like my mission statement,
Yeah.
And I believe that like I said earlier, everything builds off the next. I spent 8 years playing in a cover band, basically, so I could learn how to put on a show.
Yeah. Dude,
it's like Cooper Allen, dude.
Dude,
like,
same
have
thing,
you ever
man.
seen his show?
Oh, it's
his
badass.
show is awesome, dude. I watched him open for Kid Rock, and Kid Rock's crowd is not an easy crowd to please. Like, I would come out there and sing Dick Down in Dallas every night, and some people were just like, "What is this?"
Right.
But I watched Cooper do 2 shows with Kid Rock, which is like his idol, and that was his first concert he ever went to, and I watched him carry that crowd and just play into who he was. He made fun of himself being, the TikTok thing. He made fun of, like, dude, it was awesome. But like, he spent all those years on Broadway and doing all that stuff. And I believe that, the reason that I had to grind so many years in that club scene is to, know how to build a show and know how to grab an audience and bring them in.
Dude, I love that, man. I love that motto. I love your live show just like I love Coops. I didn't maybe bust out some of those cover gigs with you, but like years ago I watched Cooper, on old Red Stage or, some, not even that, maybe even a smaller dive bar. It's like, dude, you got to win crowds over. You got 30 seconds of some crappy cover song, figure out how to perform.
Like, grab somebody's phone and lick the screen and hand it back to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, get a little nasty. But like, that's part of it, dude. And I think you're doing a great job cultivating that. And I've had a lot of friends. I'm not just saying this to, blow smoke up your ass, but I've had a lot of friends that maybe are outside of country that have come to me being like, yo, man, you're in Nashville. Like, that Dick Down in Dallas guy. And I'm like, yeah, like, we're buds. Yeah, of course. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, but dude, you got to check out something. They're like, yeah, we started going through his catalog. And like, you have really, really heartfelt songs. And one of the songs I want to talk about that you didn't put out, but you wrote on.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Cole Swindell cut.
Yeah.
Because now hearing your story, it makes even more sense to me. And I also mean this. It is a badass song. It's a well-written song top to bottom that you look at that song, it's not a joke song. It's a very serious song. And I think it's a testament to your skills and you honing your craft for 8-10 years as a songwriter too.
Yeah, man. I think it's really cool. Like I said, Rusty Gaston and Tom Luderin and all the Sony team believed in me, not only as just an artist, but as a songwriter and, telling my story as who I am, and I remember when I know we're going to talk about my record later, but I know when I went in to do this record, Lynn Oliver texted me one time when I was out in Denver, and she was like, what are you up to? I was like, well, I'm going to take X amount of dollars, my own money. I'm going to make a record. And she was like, I want in. So it's like, it's a slow thing in this town where for me, where I've gotten to, you know, be taken serious. So I go on this writer's retreat, and, you know, I've made believers out of people, and that's what I do, man. Like it might be a slow burn, but I'm never going to stop working. I'm always going to work. And if you're around me long enough and you get to know me as a person, I'm going to make you a believer. I got to. That's my job. And you know, I feel like Jordan Walker's one of the best songwriters in this town. Tranny Anderson's one of the best songwriters in this town, and they've been, you know, Jordan's been willing to write with me for a long time. So Tom Luderin puts together this writers retreat. We go out there. We're writing this breakup ballad. It's like, if you came here to make it right, you came to the wrong place. And Tranny Anderson's like, she's like, so what side of the heartbreak are we writing from? I was like, well, hell, I've been on both sides of it. She was like, I think that's a song idea right there. I was like, all right, well, let's finish this one first. McElwain's making us hamburgers. We eat hamburgers.
Chefing up on the grill.
We sit down
like
and we start writing this song. And I'm thinking we're going to write it about my divorce, because I went through a divorce after I got sober. I was married for like 7 years. But anyways, and she was like, no, this is about your parents' divorce and you being a little kid. And man, I really just can't even say how the song was written, because it just happened in like an hour and a half. And Jordan and Tranny are such great songwriters that I just like kept telling my story, and we just like kept making this thing. And man, it fell out, and I was just like earlier, my eyes were wet.
Yeah.
You know, this thing was happening, and like that song didn't happen if they weren't there, and that song didn't happen. We had a total God moment, you know. It's just like that day was supposed to happen, and I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And I love when you get together and you write a song and it feels like that, because not every day feels like that. Some days you show up to create and it just ain't popping, but you just go through it. But that day was supposed to happen, and it was really cool. And we got done writing it. I sent it to Rusty right away. Like, if I'm really hot on something, I'll just send it to Rusty, because like Rusty's opinion to me is like Tom can tell me it's awesome. Kenley can tell me it's awesome. And like, I respect those guys, because they're publishers. That's what they do. But like, Rusty's like the boss. You know what I mean?
He's the one that's going to fight
so
for it.
So if Rusty tells me the song's good, I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, Rusty, I know you're busy, man. Like, he was taking meetings and stuff. I was like, but please listen to this. It's the best song I've ever written. And he calls me. He's like, man, I'll just be honest with you. I haven't listened to it, because I wrote some other songs with James McNair and stuff, and Emily Wiseman, Seth Mosley earlier that week. He's like, I'll be honest with you, man, I've been busy. Like, I haven't listened to any of the songs, but I listened to that one, and that is the best song you've ever written. It's like, got to go on your record. Well, my record's been done.
Right.
Like, it's done. I'm like, you got to call Lynn, because my record's done, Rusty. And I didn't hear anything for like 2 more days. And then he hit me back. He was like, look, man, I think this song is your story. I think it should go on your record, but I think it's a lot of other people's story. He was like, what do you think if we pitch it to Cole Swindell? And I start thinking, what's the song you had? You Should Be Here.
Yeah.
And I just start thinking about like, this is all within seconds, you know. In my mind, I'm like, you should be here. Middle of a memory, break up in the end.
Right.
I've been listening to his music my whole life. I start thinking about my Jeep Wrangler, you know, with no air conditioner, listening to his music. I'm like, that sounds cool, Rusty.
Right.
Do it. Don't.
Hell, you guys are close now. You guys are both bald.
Yeah.
You got that connection.
Yeah, that was funny. That's the memes that they were making on the internet. But anyway, so Rusty sends it to Cole. Don't hear anything. 2 weeks later, I wake up from it in a group text. It was like me, Rusty, Anna, and Tom. I know none of y'all know who these people are, but
they're people. They exist, people. And they're very important.
But the main one is Cole Swindell.
Yeah.
Love the song. Thank y'all for writing it. This song hurts in the best way possible. Basically, you know, I can't wait to cut this thing.
Right.
And then I don't hear anything for a while, and then I wake up to another text. Hey, can y'all come by the studio today in the afternoon? And we go over to, I can't think of the studio right over here. And we get to hear
his version.
And guess who played guitar on it? Saul.
Saul played guitar, baby.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Yeah, same guy that played on Dick Down in Dallas. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then we're sitting there, and they had the sheet music, that they use and the chart. And I was like, "Hey, Cole, like, can I have this? Like, that's cool." Like, it was bothering me. I wanted to ask, but he was like, "Yeah, sure, man." And he was like, "Actually, give it to me." And he like wrote me a letter and was like, "Thanks for a career song."
Dude, that's so
blah,
cool,
blah, blah,
man.
blah. I have it framed. It's in my little podcast studio. And,
man, that is such a cool story.
But yeah, man, it's out now. And it's like, I had that song. And then I wrote this. After that happened, my wheels started spinning. And I wrote this other song called Out Here In It a while back with Lee Thomas Miller and Chris Utley. And I heard that Blake Shelton's producer liked it, or somebody liked it, and but he passed on it, in the end. And I've met Tracy Lawrence along this journey. Nice, one of the nicest guys in Nashville, fucking legend. Grew up listening to his music.
A beast.
And I ran into his manager at this Riley thing. Ella's on tour, going on tour with Riley. And she was like, "Yeah, he's cutting music. If you have anything, send it to him." And I just found that song. I sent him my demo. I was like, "Hey man, I don't want to be weird, but if you're not into this, no, we can still be friends. No hurt feelings."
Right.
He said, "Can you send me the lyric sheet?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And then I sent it to him. I didn't hear anything back. He asked me to come do his turkey fry he does every year for his foundation.
Yeah.
And I went up there and dropped a turkey, took a picture with him. He said, "Oh yeah, I cut your song, by the way." And I was like, "Awesome." And he was like, "I'll send it to you later." And I drive home Thanksgiving, going home back to Alabama, and I just listened to it over and over, and I'm just crying in my car. It came out last Friday. It's called Out Here.
Dude, that's
this is the thing though. It's both of those songs, 3 Feet Tall, Out Here In It, that's who I am. That's what I do. Those are the kind of songs that I write as a person. So on my record that's coming out, I have some tempo songs, and some of those songs I didn't write because that's not my strong suit, but I gotta have those for the live show.
Right.
And I know that.
Dude, that's such an amazing story. I love to hear the Cole story of him inviting you to the studio again just to get that lyric sheet and hearing that for the first time, and him saying this is a career song because he felt the same pain that you are feeling on your end. And then on the Tracy front, I mean, what an icon, dude. And he just cut it. He didn't there was no notice that came in.
Yeah,
It's hey,
notice.
By the way, I already recorded that song.
Well, here's the thing. He was only cutting 5 things. My publisher called me 2 weeks ago and was like, "Hey man, I don't know if you know this, but this Out Here In It song is the title track of his EP." So I went from he was only cutting 5 songs to getting a cut, then to being the title track.
Right.
On a fucking legend, dude.
You just find a way to sneak in, Trey.
Yeah, dude.
That's
it was
good
crazy,
stuff.
man. But that's the deal, man. I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit, and I'm going to keep coming. And, people are going to either take me serious or they won't. But, as long as we have enough, that's all we need.
Slow burn, but the stove's still hot, baby.
That's right.
That's right. Come on.
Right.
Hey, man, we're going to take one more quick break, come right back, and we
cool.
got your album to talk about. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in and listening here with Trey Lewis on his story. Crazy childhood. Crazy story of really sort of a 10-year conglomerate of writing and recording music.
Yeah.
Big record, big records for other artists as well. And we just have a few minutes left here. One thing that I noticed when you brought in is this lovely box.
The Troublemaker box.
This is the Troublemaker box.
So that is Troublemaker is the title track of my record. Before you open the box, let me just tell you this quick story real quick. So the opening line of the song is, "I used to hide in the weeds every time my best friend's mama drove by to see that Frankie wasn't hanging with the likes of me." And Frankie was my best friend.
Yeah, Frankie's
up.
your boy.
I talked about him earlier. He's, this is little Trey in the music video. This is all clips this is Frankie, playing Frankie. And But anyways,
dude, this is awesome.
So those are all clips from the music video. But back to Dick Down in Dallas. So we were talking about the listening room earlier, and a buddy of mine asked me to play the listening room. I guess he was like an outside promoter.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, dude, like, this is how I got banned from the listening room. I was like, dude. So like, I was like, I'll play there, but like, I'm gonna play Dick Down in Dallas. People are gonna buy tickets to come hear me play that song there. So I asked 3 times to make sure that it was like cool to play there, because I know like I love the listening room and like what it does for songwriters, but I know that my brand at the time with that song doesn't really fit what happens there.
Yeah.
Because I know it's like a family friendly thing. So I was just like, hey, like, you know, it's just cool. So they're like, yeah, man, that's fine. I get there and they're like, hey, man, you can't play the song. I'm like, well, the venue sold out for this is my Footlights moment. I got
people bought tickets. They want to hear it. I'm going to play it.
Yeah. So when I get to Butt Fucked, of course, they cut the PA off.
No, they really cut the PA.
They cut the PA. Yeah. And
wait, please tell me that you finished it acoustically.
Oh, I got up and sang
it.
it. The whole crowd was singing it a cappella. Yeah. And then I put my guitar in my case. I walked back on stage, gave them 2 middle fingers, and threw my shirt out to the crowd. And my lawyer was there, and he was just like, yeah, Scott Safford, shout out to
that part might have been a little overboard. Maybe.
That was a little overboard.
Maybe the
and like
the
right at the time, like I hadn't signed my deal with River House. Like it was still in the works.
You worried they were going to be like, that deal's coming back.
I was like, yeah, I told Zeb, I was like, yeah, I mean, maybe the shirt off and the 2 middle fingers was a little over the top, but like, you know, he was like, well, I mean, man, you know, that was a little over the top, but like at the same time, you did ask 3 times, you know. All right, coolest story about that is, so the guy that asked me to play the listening room that night is his first cousin is Frankie's dad. So Frankie's
Wait,
yeah.
Hold on, I'm doing the math here.
Yeah.
Guy that asked you to play the listening room, his cousin is Frankie's dad.
Yeah. So
wow,
Frankie's dad finds out that I'm playing this show, and I mean, dude, I haven't seen the guy in 15 years, you know, and he's like, I'm coming down to Knoxville, like, you know, of course, Frankie's like, you know, they didn't like me hanging out with Frankie when we were younger, but like they know that I've gotten sober and like, you know, I've done really well in my music and stuff. He's like, I'm going to see Trey. So when the thing starts, I play like Whatever She Sees in Me, which is a song that I wrote about my mom. I play Troublemaker because that's about, you know, Frankie. Like when I wrote Troublemaker, I sent the demo to Frankie and like he sent it to his mom. So I know his dad had like heard it. Mm-hmm. And I play all those songs. And then the Dick Down in Dallas thing happens. They cut the PA off. Like everybody's like, "What happened?"
And you've like previously hyped him up to be like, "Hey, Trey's like cool, sober. He's got his shit together."
And it was great because me and Frankie are still friends, and we went to like, I think we went to the Iron Bowl like a few weeks later down in Alabama. I try to go down to Alabama and catch a football game with him every year, and just because it's something we've done since we were kids. And he was like, man, it was great. My dad called me after that show you played and said, oh, T-Bird, man, he ain't changed a bit. I fucking love that shit, you know? But it's like, at the same time, I was like, damn, I really showed my ass. But,
no, that's
but it just goes to show that, man, like, I believe I'm a good man today. I do really feel that I have changed tremendously from the man I was, or the boy I was, you know, before I got sober. And, you know, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still figuring this thing out. Dick Down in Dallas was a joke between friends that went viral. It changed my life. There's there's more positive that came from that song than negative in my life. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I just want to, you know, I do have dreams of playing the Grand Ole Opry and having songs on the radio just to prove to the troublemaker like me that you don't have to have your life figured out. You don't have to know that you're going to go to college and, you know, work for your dad's friend's insurance agency and have a 401k and have a house and get married and, you know, have everything mapped out that you can kind of find your own way and you know, ride the wave, so to say, you know.
I love that, man.
But this is your troublemaker box.
This is my troublemaker box for the album.
Yeah.
This is a live unboxing, everyone.
Live.
I love this cover, dude. Here we go.
I haven't actually seen one of these in person.
You haven't seen one of these. Here we go. We
Got
have
you a little note in there.
This note, which very emotional, very lovely note.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read the whole thing on camera because, well, I might cry again, and we've already cried once here. But here we go, baby. Look at this.
This is a signed vinyl. I signed 500 of them.
This is badass, man. And I love side A, side B.
14 songs.
Can I share this?
Yeah, you can share it.
Look at that. We got side A, side B. 14. It's nice to see the track listing here for the first time. This is great. Oh, man. Let's go.
So I started a hat company. It's called Paw Paws Hats.
I've wanted one of these for so long, dude. Come on.
Me, Mitch Wallace, and my manager, my grandfather, he was a Paw Paw.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make hats that honored our grandfathers and looked like hats that our grandfather wore. And dude, it was really kind of Mitch's idea. And then he was like, "What do you want to call it?" I was like, "Well, I called my grandfather Paw Paw, and he taught me how to fish." So the bait and tackle, it was the first hat. But this is Trey Lewis, Paw Paw's record shop.
Dude, I mean, let's do it.
Let's do it.
We don't need that hat anymore. We need this guy. Come on. How's it sitting?
Looks good on you.
Can I wear it okay?
Good on you.
Maddie, maybe get a little zoom in here. A little bit of the good side, a little bit of the bad side, right? We're there.
Yeah, we're only going to make a few of those. We're not going to continue those as a limited edition.
I feel blessed. I got the limited edition hat on now.
So it's a scarf.
I got a scarf with Trey's name on it, so everyone see. Wow, this is cool. Dude, this is quite a box you got.
Yeah. Candy cigarettes. You remember those?
Hey, quit smoking, kids.
Yeah.
Don't do it. I actually love these things. I'm gonna put these here because I might actually have one for the back half of this. Yeah. And then we got your detention slip.
Detention slip, notepad. Pretty cool. Got a lot of those.
Yeah, a lot of reps in detention for you, right?
The funnest thing in there is the whoopee cushion.
This little guy, look at that. I'm going to use this to prank somebody.
Oh, I thought does it have my logo on it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you got the Trey Lewis whoopee cushion. This is awesome. Badass. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to blow this up and put it on the couch tonight, prank my roommate.
You should.
I'm going to get a video. I'm going to get a video. I'm telling people this now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get a video. I'm going to send it to you.
That's great.
This is awesome, man.
Dude, thank you.
And then this was this little guy too.
Oh, a little fidget thing.
Little
ADHD.
The thing is, I do have issues with sometimes I don't know what to do with my hands and they just start shaking. Maybe this will be
in your pocket right now.
This will be my thing. So I'm keeping this because I'm going to need it very soon, and I'm also keeping this because I'm going to need it very soon.
Cool.
But don't do cigarettes, kids.
But yeah, that's it, man. Troublemaker, the record comes out March 1st. I'm sure this episode will probably be out later than March 1st.
I imagine
it's probably out now. Go listen to it.
It'll be probably maybe a week or two after.
Yeah.
But all that's to say, when it comes out, which is now real time,
it's out now.
It's out now. Yeah. Dude, thanks for coming on this podcast, man. Thanks for this troublemaker box and these gifts. We have just a few minutes left, and this is one of my favorite things to do because my friends at Ariat, which hooked me up with Sweatshirt here and hook us all up with Country Western Apparel. They do this thing called rapid fire questions, 60 seconds. So whatever comes to mind, you just fire it off. Right. Don't think too hard. That's the downfall for a lot of people. All right. Here we go. Maddie's going to wind up 60 seconds on the clock. Rapid fire questions. 3, 2, 1. What is your dream collaboration?
Jelly roll.
Tickle fight or pillow fights?
Pillow fight.
Pillow.
Piddle.
Pillow
Let's
fights.
piddle each other.
Oh, wow. That sounds weird. Kickball or dodgeball?
Kickball.
Would you rather give up sobriety or give up sex?
Give up sex.
Losing a best friend or cheating on your wife?
Losing a best friend.
That would be cheating is tough. Have you ever had a threesome?
I never have.
Thank you for sharing. If you were given an all expenses trip just to move right now and go to Europe, but you'd have to leave right now and be there for the rest of your life, never have to work a day again, would you do it? Yes or no? Would you rather oversleep every day for a week or not get any sleep at all for 4 days?
No sleep for 4 days.
Damn, you can just run on some caffeine. Yeah. And if you ran into your ex-girlfriend's best friend, would you give her a handshake or a hug?
Damn.
You're thinking too much. Come on.
Probably just a handshake.
And what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done in public?
Oh, shit my pants for sure. Yeah.
No lie?
No lie.
Where was that?
I mean, which time, you know?
Oh, that's awesome. 60-second questions presented by Aaron. That was good, dude.
Thanks, man.
But that's it happens, right?
Yeah, I did it the other day in the truck with my girlfriend in the car.
Was that the first time in front of the
me,
girlfriend?
McKinney, Bonner, and Brooke. And I was like, I turned down the radio. I was like, oh, y'all, I just shit my pants. So,
How was the response?
they were like, really? And Brooke, my girlfriend, man, she's so sweet. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Brooke.
Happy
Shout
birthday,
out.
Brooke. And she was like, oh, honey, I'm sorry. Do you feel bad? You know, I feel like most girls would be like, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
You need to.
They'd be like,
eat
get out,
better.
pull over.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny. Well, dude, thanks for coming on this podcast. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing more about the album and your songwriting process.
Thanks for having me on, man. This has been fun.
It's fun, man. Long overdue. And, I will say most of these episodes I do are, around 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I think this, I think we're almost at an hour and a half here.
Yeah.
And the reason why, I've loved it is like every bit of this has been fun. You clearly know how to tell a story, and you clearly have a story.
We did it all. We did it like Joe Rogan today, dude.
Yeah, dude, that was
2
crazy,
hours.
bro. And now I feel like we need to get on out of here and go get some dinner. So
Let's do it.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll see y'all next week.